What is up, guys? Welcome to yet another reading. This story is called My Limitless Lily, written by Brony guy. And yeah, the picture is a mare who has no legs, which is horrible and kind of a interesting concept for a story. So yeah, let's get straight to it. My Limitless Lily. Hey, how you doing? The name's Money Shot. Yeah, I know what that means, but believe me, my parents were using the clean definition of the phrase when they used it as my name. So you'd better not let me hear any sex jokes, got it? They were actually kind of right. My parents, that is. They named me Money Shot, cause the minute my ma had her hooves on me for the first time, my dad snapped a pic. Dad's a photographer. It kinda runs in the family. Anyway, he takes this photo of me being held by my ma. Now, she ain't had a minute to clean up or brush her hair or preen or nothing, so she looks, well, she looks like she just went through labor for like 6 hours. Cause, you know, she kinda just did, but my mom never really cared how she looked anyway. Neither do I! Now, me, I didn't look too good either. She only had like maybe 3 minutes to get me cleaned up before Dad started getting his camera ready, gritting like crazy and lining up the shot. She gives him his cute little smile like she does in almost every picture he has of her, and believe me, there are a lot, and she tilts her head and holds me up so that my face is right next to hers. Now, my dad always uses one of those cameras that prints the picture out right when you snap it. I prefer the more sophisticated stuff, but Dad always hated waiting to develop film. I tell you, it was harder for that guy to wait for a picture to develop than it was for a fool waiting for presents on hearts warming. We all know that feel, don't we? Anyway, once they have the photo, it's like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Seriously, you'd think I'd been born an alicorn or something. Sorry, I'm rambling again. I intend to do that. Anyway, what I meant to say was that the picture was so good, my dad called it a money shot. And next thing you know, that's the name on my birth certificate. But you didn't come here to hear my life story, did you? Nah, of course you didn't. It ain't that interesting anyway. No, you're here for me to tell you the story of Lily Valley. If you don't know Lily, you're missing out. She's seriously the prettiest Mary you ever saw. She's smart, she's funny, the whole shebang. I know saying a girl's awesome and following it up by saying she's smart and funny is kinda cliche, but she really is. Plus, that girl's got a body that just will not quit. It's actually funny, cause it kinda sounds like Twilight. Sorry, I just had to say it. She also, and this is the best part, my mare friend. So when I say she's hot, just take my word for it. Don't go looking where you shouldn't. Got it? She wouldn't appreciate you looking back there anyway because, well, we'll get to that. We met a while back. I think it was in the spring. I had a client. I mentioned I'm a photographer, right? No, you didn't. Anyway, I had a client who actually kind of did. Whatever. Anyway, I had a client who wanted some pics of flower displays for something. Her daughter's wedding? Whatever. That's not important. Now, I can take nature shots as good as the next guy, but the flowers this mare wanted in the pics weren't the kind you can find in any old park. So I headed down to the flower shop to see if they'd let me some shots of the flowers I needed. I'll give you one guess who was working that day. It wasn't love at first sight or anything. That kind of crap only happens in stories. But I'm a pretty normal red-blooded stallion. And I didn't notice that she was pretty cute. Anyway, I tell her about my predicament and ask if she can help out. I even tell her I can give her a couple of bits if she wanted. I didn't need to keep the flowers. I just needed to borrow them for a few minutes. She talked about it with her boss, this other mare named Roseluck. Now, Roseluck is a really savvy business pony, so she tells me that she'll let me take as many pics as I want, but only if I do a few for her, for an ad that they were going to put in the paper. That sounded fair to me, so I agreed. Now, I don't know nothing about arranging a bouquet, so Lily said she'll help me. I told her the kind of flowers and colors I needed in, and she got 'em. She even put in some extra stuff to make it look nicer. She's real LCD, so all of them had to be placed just right, and it took a while. I didn't mind though, we got to talking while she worked. Plus, her back was turned to me, and like I said, she's pretty cute. What? Don't look at me like that. I'm not some kind of perv or anything. I looked away when I realized I was staring. It was only like 2 seconds. Okay, maybe 3. Anyway, we hit it off pretty well, and by the time I'd had the pictures I needed, plus the pictures I took for them, I'd ask her out for coffee. After that, we went on a couple dates. She really liked going on picnics, so we did that most of the time. Every now and then, I'd take her to a restaurant, and we'd have a normal date, but she liked being outside most. She loves nature, seeing the beauty of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I like looking at flowers and trees as much as the next guy, but if given the choice, I'd rather do something a little more exciting. With Lily, though, it was different. With her, I could sit and stare at plants all day. She just had this way of, I don't know, making you see how pretty something really is. It's not just flowers either. This one time we were going on a walk in the park and we passed by this pond. Now, the thing about Ponyville Park is that it gets taken care of by this guy named Pine Breeze. He and Lily are friends, and we see him in the park a whole lot. A lot, sorry. Anyway, he was cleaning the pond that day. It had gotten pretty bad. There was a ton of scum and weeds everywhere. Lily said hi to him and told him how great it was starting to look. He looked at her like she told him Celestia had pink fur or something. Actually, in the toys she does. But he shrugged and said, "If you say so." Then she said it really did look good. She started pointing to different parts of the pond, saying that she could almost see where stuff would go or how it would look. Over here'd be where little falls would feed the goldfish. Some lily pads would grow over there, and frogs hop around on them and croak when evening came. Her description painted a really nice picture. How cliché! When we came back a week later, the pond was just like she'd imagined it. Maybe better. She always had this way of seeing the beauty in things, even when ponies don't notice. It's one of the things I really like about her. She can look into the future. She's an oracle. No, I'm kidding. We're pretty normal as far as couples go. Yeah, we have some fights. Like when I get impatient with her obsessing over every little detail. But we always manage to work it out. We've been dating for, let's see, I think it'd be almost 2 years now. And with everything we've been through, I can honestly say I never want to be without that awesome girl. Huh? Oh, sorry. The way I make it sound, everything's been peaches and cream. Trust me, it ain't always been like that. There was this one time, I tell you, it still scares me when I think about it. I thought I'd lost my girl forever. Oh boy. We'd been going out for about 8 months or so. Somewhere in that range. I got done with the project a little early and was gonna stop by and give her a surprise visit. Since she works with flowers, they don't really do as much for her as they do for other fillies. I had to learn pretty quickly what she liked when we started dating. I found out that she liked these little candied fruits that Bon Bon sells. Don't all the girls do? Like chocolate, you get a woman's heart. Nah, that's not necessarily the way to a woman's heart. I'm just kidding. I'm no romance guy. That's also why I don't have a girlfriend. Sad face. Well, whatever. They're a bit pricey, but I still get them for her every now and again. Especially when she's getting real panicky about making a big order perfect. That or when she's mad at me for something. I bought a box for her and I was gonna take her out for a nice picnic dinner that night. Oh, romantic. I love it. As I started walking down the streets, the shop's on. I see this big dark cloud. I thought it was kind of funny because the rest of the sky was all clear and sunny. Then I realized it wasn't a cloud. It was smoke, and it was coming from the flower shop. Uh-oh, that's bad. Oh, crap. I started running as fast as I could. I knew deep in my gut that something was wrong, and it scared me bad enough I didn't even have the sense to use my wings. Don't you just hate it when you forget you have wings? I hate it. When I got there, I saw smoke pouring out of the windows. The whole place was burning so hot I could feel it even standing as far as I was. Firefighters were running around using freezing spells and pouring water everywhere to get the flames out. I looked around and I saw Roseluck and Lily's other friend, Daisy, sitting a little ways away. All these puns. Goodness. They were all covered in soot and coughing like they just got out of there. I ran up to them to see if they were okay, and then I realized something. Lily wasn't with them. I asked them what happened and if they knew where Lily was. They both looked around like they just realized that she wasn't with them, and Roseluck looked back at the flower shop and turned. Well, more pale, and I realized what she was thinking even before she said it. Lily was still in there. Dun, dun, dun. And then she loses her legs. Spoiler warning. So delicious, water. Before I even know what's happening, I'm flapping my wings as hard as I can towards the door of the shop. I didn't even know what I was gonna do. I just knew I had to get Lily out of there. Before I got there, though, one of the firefighters grabbed me and held me down. I started kicking and screaming for him to let me go, telling him my mare friend was still in there. I didn't realize at the time, but it was actually a good thing that he stopped me. A few seconds after he pinned me down, the wall above the front door collapsed. Eventually, I got too tired from struggling and just lay there, numb. Roseluck and Daisy came over and hugged me, telling me and each other that Lily was going to make it and that she probably got out the back. Nah, that's too easy. It felt like I had a manticore sitting on my chest with its stinger stuck straight through me. Wow, those were a lot of S's. Yeah. All the ponies around me moved in slow motion, and I just closed my eyes, hoping that when I opened them, I'd be in my bed and it would all be a bad dream. It was the first of many times I'd make that wish that day. We waited. Gosh, I don't know how long. The building was just about to collapse when they found her. When I heard what was going on, I thought I'd be sick. Oh God. I haven't read horror stories in a while, so if I get sick, excuse me. They were getting her on the ambulance cart. I couldn't see much, but it looked like she got burned pretty bad. The worst part was how loud she was screaming. I ain't never heard a sound as awful as the way she was screaming before, and I don't think I ever will again. I ran over as fast as I could. I don't even know what I thought I was gonna do. I just had to do something to help her. When I got close. Sorry, it's just the thought of seeing her like I saw her that day still makes me sick. I'd read a couple of gory books, you know, the kind where some psycho kills ponies and puts them in a cake. Or that one about the weather factory, which is total horse apples, by the way. Really, cupcakes and Rainbow Factory references. I love it. I already love this story. They are not my favorite, but a couple of them were okay. Anyway, when I saw her, it made some of those books look like something you'd read to your kid at bedtime. One thing I'll never forget is the smell. Needless to say, the lunch I had eaten a few hours earlier reared its ugly head. They gave Lily something to knock her out and rushed her over to the ER. I flew after the cart and Roseluck and Daisy ran. I was all panicky and screaming at the nurse at the desk when Roseluck and Daisy caught up to me. Daisy pulled me aside and helped me calm down, and Roseluck tried to find out what was going on. We sat in the waiting room for a real long time. Well, Daisy and Roseluck sat. I wore a groove in the floor, pacing back and forth. Whenever the door opened, I'd dash over and ask whoever came out if Lily was okay. I was so scared. Every minute that passed, I was getting more and more afraid that I'd lose her. I tried to remember the last thing I said to her. I couldn't even remember what it was. It was probably just one of those run-off-the-mill goodbye phrases like catch you later or something. Don't you just hate it whenever, you say something bad to someone and then they just die and you're like, fuck, I said a bad thing the last time I saw him. That's actually happened to a lot of people a couple times. One thing I do know, it wasn't I love you. Neither of us had said that to each other yet. I came close a couple of times, but it just didn't seem right, The first time saying something like that, that should be special, and whenever I wanted to say it, the moment just didn't seem right. I knew Lily wouldn't really care when I said it, but what can I say? I like doing romantic stuff like that for my girl. I'd wish then that I'd say it when I had the chance. When the doctor came out, it was really late. Daisy's fiancé, Colton, had come by and sat with us for a while, and he was there. The doctor, I mean. He looked like he'd been through Tartarus and back. He explained to us that, in addition to some smoke inhalation, Lily had gotten pinned under a collapsed beam and had second and third degree burns over a lot of her, especially her back legs. He almost couldn't tell us the last part, and I swear I saw tears in his eyes when he did. The burns on Lily's back legs were so bad that they'd had to amputate them. Now, I'm a Pegasus, and I don't know a whole lot about Earth Pony magic and stuff, but I knew enough to know why Roseluck, Daisy, and Colton all gasped and looked as scared for Lily as they did. An Earth Pony's legs are really important to them, even more than a unicorn's values their horn or a Pegasus values their wings. It's why a lot of them will break more than a few bones in your body if you call them lame. A lame Earth Pony can't work, so I guess that means they think they're worthless. There isn't anything I can say to get you to understand how bad something like this was for her. That would be like the same thing for me losing my hands. I wouldn't be able to type, and I wouldn't be able to do as much stuff as I can right now, which would really suck. We asked if we could see her, and he said we could, but she was sedated, and we could only visit for a little while. I practically ran down the hall to her room. She was all hooked up and had tubes and wires all over her. Most of her body was bandaged, and I was too scared to touch her at first, 'cause she looked so bad I thought she'd fall apart if I so much as moved a feather. Why was that so hard to read? I went up to the side of her bed and just stared at her for a while. Her chest was moving up and down, and that let me know that she was still alive. A fact I thanked Celestia for every day. The four-hoof closet to me wasn't wrapped up much, so I just held it. I didn't really know what to say. I wasn't even sure if she'd hear me if I did say something. All of us just stayed there with her until the nurse came in and said it was time to go. I didn't want to leave. I'd come so close to losing her, and I never wanted to go through that again. Before I got up, I took off my hat and just set it down there where she'd see it. I guess I wanted her to know I'd been there if she woke up. I told her I love her then, even if she couldn't hear me. I didn't want to leave her without saying it. I was up all that night. I'd never felt so hopeless before. Helpless. The mare I loved, had had something so bad happen to her, and there wasn't a darn thing I could do. I came this close to buying a ticket to Candlelight and begging the princesses themselves to do something. Wow, that's hardcore, man. That's really hardcore. When I got back to the hospital the next day, I sat with her until she woke up. I'm glad the nurse was in there changing her bandages at the time, 'cause I never would have had it in me to tell her what happened. I tried not to cry, to be strong for her when she found out she'd never walk again. But it didn't last long. All I could do was hold her and let her know I was there. Daisy and Roseluck came to see her a little while later. Roseluck was all hysterical. She kept on apologizing and saying she didn't mean to do something. When we got her to calm down, she told us that they'd found out the fire had been started when the hot plate she uses for her coffee had short-circuited. Well, then it's not your fault. Calm down, Roseluck. Jeez. The four of us stayed there with Lily that day. We didn't say much. We just held on to one another. The next couple of weeks were pretty rough for all of us, especially Lily. Her bandages had to get changed every day so that her burns wouldn't get infected. She was on a lot of pain meds for a while, so she was kind of out of it a lot of the time. It was really hard for her to get used to it at first. Sometimes she'd ask me to go lie in bed with her and spoon. And she'd have me move my legs around under the covers so it kind of looked like she still had hers. Oh, I get it. She told me once that sometimes she could still feel her legs. Sometimes she felt an itch and she'd go to scratch it without thinking. The doctor said because her brain didn't really get that her legs were gone. Yeah, those are... Well, actually, I think that's called phantom pains. Because if you feel pain in a body part that's not there anymore, and you feel pain on that body part while it's not there, those are called phantom pains. And I don't know what they're caused by, though. I'm not, a hardcore medical guy or anything. But I do know that. I visited her a lot and stayed as long as I could. Sometimes I didn't really know what to do, though. I tried not to look at where her legs used to be, but I think she noticed. For a while I tried keeping a brave face and smiling for her, thinking maybe it would help. She didn't like that too much. She told me that she didn't want me pretending everything was okay, because it's not. It wasn't. One thing I never stopped doing, though, was telling her I loved her. I told her every day. I never stopped bringing her flowers either. Her friends gave me any flowers they could spare to keep her room looking cheerful. I always made sure that she had plenty of lilies to put in her hair like she likes to do. Almost every morning, I'd go over there right about the time she was getting herself ready. I'd help her brush her mane and put a lily in it. She told me she could do it herself, but I knew she liked when I did stuff like that. So romantic. The toughest part for her was getting used to the wheelchair. She had a hard time keeping herself from sliding in the seat once she got in, and she hated that she had to have some pony help her get in. Not really sure why, but she didn't complain as much as when I did it. Anyway, one day she got fed up with the stupid thing. She looked at me, and I swear I saw the hate for that chair burning in her eyes. She used this really scary voice she had, the one she uses on me when I'm in trouble, and she said, "Money shot. Get me pencils and a sketch pad. I'm never touching that chair again." She never did either. She stayed in her bed, just drawing and thinking for days after that. I added paper removal to the list of stuff when I did when I stopped by. Most of her first ideas were just the chair with a bunch of extra straps. Eventually, though, she got away from the whole chair idea. One day I came in and she was all excited. She was smiling again and I just about cried. She hadn't smiled since before the fire. She showed me what she'd been working on. It was kind of like a wheelchair, but it only had 2 wheels and it didn't have a back, just a padded seat. I didn't really understand what I was looking at, but I told her I'd help her make it. I got this one guy in town to help her. He's a real nerdy type, but had a face his ma could love. Only his ma could love. What was his name? I can't even remember. Gearhead? Gizmo? Something like that. Anyway, he and Lily talked and he took her drawings to his lab or whatever. When he came back, he'd built the thing that Lily had drawn. I still didn't see how she was going to sit on it. It couldn't even stand up on its own. Turns out she never planned to sit on it. She had me and what's-his-name hold it up and help her get out of bed and set her back end on top of the thing. Then we wrapped this leather strap around her waist. When she told us to let go of her, I couldn't at first. I was afraid she'd fall. She said it was okay. I trusted her, but I still kept close by in case she needed me. The thing wasn't perfect. It was a little too high. So the nerdy guy said he'd readjust. Oh, I get it. But it still worked. Lily stood there and with the biggest grin I'd ever seen. She told me to go stand over on the other side of the room. I didn't want to leave her side, but she gave me this look I just can't resist. All the puppy eyes. I stood on the other end of the room, facing her, and she did something that still makes me all giddy inside. She started walking. It was a little weird for her because her front legs were doing all the work, but I don't think she really cared. She had tears in her eyes as she took another step, then another. I couldn't believe it. She was walking. My Lily was walking with only her front legs. I was so happy. I wanted to run to her and give her a hug and kiss her until neither of us could breathe. I held off, though. I knew it'd be even better when she made it to me. She took her time, but I could tell she wanted to run real bad. When she finally reached me, she was trembling and she had tears running down her face. She was so excited she leapt up and wrapped her hopes around me, which made the thing roll back and she almost fell. I managed to catch her, though. I'd never been happier for her or any pony else in my life. When we showed Daisy and Rose luck, the nurse threatened to throw them out because they were so happy they screamed. After her wheels got readjusted, she kept practicing and getting better at walking. She'd take long walks around the hospital and visit all the doctors and nurses and other patients. They started calling her Angel of the Ponyville Hospital. When her burns had mostly healed up and she got discharged, she tried running. She tripped once or twice, but that didn't stop her. Nothing ever stopped her. When she went to visit places that didn't have a ramp, she wouldn't let me help her until she had tried to get up the steps at least once. Sometimes ponies look at her funny when she goes out. They look at her like she really isn't a pony anymore. Well, you know what? They can all go buck themselves. She's more of a pony than they'll ever be. I don't know if she's seen how she gets sidelong looks from some ponies. But if she has, she doesn't let on. She just gives a smile to every pony that she meets. Sometimes foals ask about her legs. You know how foals can get. They say stuff like, "Where's your legs?" or "Why do you have wheels?" Most of the time, their parents shush them and apologize. Lily smiles and says it's okay. And then she makes up a silly story about she woke up one day and forgot them or something. One time she told little Colt that she was a robot. Ever since she got the wheels, that's what she calls them, the only limit she got is how far the ground goes. Sometimes she even ignores that limit. Sometimes she unstraps herself from the wheels and holds on to me and we fly. I've never taken her very high because I don't want to drop her. But tonight, that's going to change. I had this special harness made for me and I'm giving it to her tonight. Turns out there's a cloud walking spell that lets non-Pegasi walk on clouds. I'm going to surprise her with a trip up there. I have a unicorn body that can cast the spell. Lily's the strongest, prettiest, most wonderful mare I know. I can't imagine ever being without her. I love her so much and I want to spend the rest of my life by her side, taking whatever life throws at us together. That's why, when we're up there and on a cloud tonight, watching the stars together, her holding my hoof, I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna say it all. I'm gonna tell her how much she means to me. And then I'm gonna ask her to marry me. Aww. Nah, just... This is like second grade diabetes. Good God. I really like these stories because, they're just so romantic. And, they open up paths to really interesting, stories like, Applejack and Rainbow Dash ships, all that sort of stuff. I always think it's really cute and really romantic. And I really love it. So yeah, it was a very great story. I really loved it. Really goes to show how much he loves her. And I really love the intro where it's like, you know what, this is my life story. I just don't care about it. Let's go to the actual story. Let's stop procrastinating and let's actually start talking about stuff. So I really enjoyed it. So as usual, the link's down in the description. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. Remember, likes, favorite, comments do help me out. I'm so stealing this from Lefty, by the way. Let's do X on YouTube, people. Go sub him. He's awesome. And make sure to share it to with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. So hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.